Hello, welcome to my Valor Heavy Bowgun guide. The reason I'm making this is because while there are a lot of good guides to get started, I really haven't seen a lot of them go into detail about the gameplay loop of Heavy Bowgun. Most guides also lack some tech discoveries that were found a few years after GU's release, so I thought to compile them into a definitive Valor Heavy Bowgun guide that covers control settings, basic controls, aiming, essential tech, advanced tech, and general tips. This guide will only cover Valor style for two reasons. Firstly, covering every style will cause this already extremely extensive video to drag on. And secondly, Valor Heavy Bowgun is superior to its other styles in every way. While the other styles are powerful and perfectly viable in their own way, their effectiveness can't compare to Valor's capabilities. Valor Heavy Bowgun is by far the strongest style in the game, and you can expect to decrease hunt times to half of what you'd get with other weapons if you master it. Point is, this is for Valor Heavy Bowgun, and I'm trying to cover everything there is to say about it. So let's begin. First, we want to do our initial setup. The reason for this is that the game actually hides gameplay advantages behind control settings that we want to access, and because it might be good to know what they do and how they help you. First, let's switch to Bowgun Type 1, because the game selects 2 by default and it's overall the worst option for Valor Heavy Bowgun. I'm going to explain this in more detail when we get to quick scoping, but essentially this setting makes it so you retain the height of your reticle when entering Siege, while Type 2 resets it to eye level when entering Siege mode. Type 3 resets it to eye level every time, even outside of Siege mode. In conjunction with this, you should also make sure to select Reticle Behavior Type 1 to make sure the reticle is always in the center of the screen and that the camera snaps to it, and Target Cam Behavior Type 2 to not accidentally mess with the reticle height. Having independent control over the vertical axis gives you faster and more consistent results when quick scoping. It also helps to set the control type to Type 3. This is a setting I recommend for any weapon in general, but for Heavy Bowgun it lets you aim using the D-pad and right stick. Going forward, I will assume you are using Type 3. L-stick controls are gonna be extremely useful, especially for advanced tech, and we want to select Type 2. The game starts you out with Type 1, which simply zooms in the minimap if you press the L-stick, while Type 2 is essentially the sprint toggle from World. If you press the L-stick, you sheath your weapon and you can sprint without holding R1. This input can be used to initiate and hold Valor stance, even with the menu open. This is gonna be important later in the advanced tech section. Note that this option only exists in GU and not in any version of Double Cross. If you play Double Cross, anything I say in relation to this option does not apply to you and its features cannot be used. Reticle speed is really up to your preference. Faster speed makes you more flexible and makes it easy to follow monsters that move around a lot without having to reposition. Slower speed makes it easier to more accurately correct your aim. The next setting is optional for Heavy Bowgun, as it doesn't change its gameplay in any meaningful way, but it is super useful for other weapons like dual blades and lance to invert plus and minus. Going forward, I'm going to assume the kick/special button as the plus/start button and the menu button as the minus/select button. I will refer to them as the menu button and the special or kick button. With the settings covered, let's grab our Heavy Bowgun and go over some of the basics. If you haven't made any yet, I recommend just using any cheap Heavy Bowgun that can siege a common ammo type like Pierce 1 or Normal 2. Just mind the recoil on higher levels of Pierce. I will go over the different viable Heavy Bowguns in a follow-up video, but for now, just use any that doesn't have recoil on a common ammo. I should also mention that the rest of the video only explains the basic controls. So if you come from another guide and or already know the controls, you can skip to the next video. Though it doesn't hurt to watch this one either, just in case I mention something you might not have known. Press X to draw your weapon. You can press X mid-air to draw into a reload. This does mounting damage and loads your clip. Keep in mind that the reload speed affects how long the recovery animation will be. It's not cancelled after hitting the ground unless you start from high enough. R plus X plus A draws the weapon and reloads, while in mid-air you can draw and shoot the currently selected ammo mid-air and deal mounting damage. If no ammo is loaded, you draw empty and just don't shoot. Drawing mid-air with no ammo loaded is the fastest way to draw, so use it when you see a ledge nearby. To select ammo, hold L and press X to cycle up and B to cycle down. Loaded ammo will become unloaded if you switch to a different one. The order depends on where the ammo is located in your pouch, similar to items, so make sure to organize them in a way you like if you plan on using multiple ammo types. In Siege, if you have no Siege ammo selected, you'll be asked to choose between all available Siege ammos with X and B, and you must select one with A before being able to do anything else. If you already have a Siege ammo selected when you enter Siege, it will automatically choose that one. To reload, press X. You normally will not need this due to the power reload being much better in almost every situation. The power reload is Valor's own reload from Valor stance. You can power reload by entering Valor stance through Y or L stick and pressing X to load. It has a fixed speed and boosts your damage by 5% while in Valor. You can tell if your ammo is still boosted by it by looking at the ammo icon below your health bar and by the sound of your shots. It remains active for 24 seconds. While the power boost is active, shots fill up the Valor gauge, similar to Valor stance attacks of other weapons. This is how you get into Valor mode and hold onto the gauge while it's active. The Valor reload requires some practice though, because depending on the timing, you will either get a quick power reload similar to fast reload, or your hunter gets stuck in a very long animation that leaves you wide open. You can tell the correct timing by your hunter's arm and the little flash shortly before you normally put your weapon away. It is critical that you learn it and build up muscle memory, because this move is essential and messing it up will get you punished by a lot. Here's a clip of me power reloading a couple of times so you can practice the timing. If you've already messed around with it or have seen other people play, you might already know that different ammo types fill up Valor at varying rates. Slice is the overall most popular option because it only takes around 6 to 8 shots to fill up the gauge, but most raw ammos with multiple ticks and decent clips like PS1, Normal 3 or PS3 are also fine. The fill rate depends on many things such as ammo type, ticks, proximity to the monster and critical distance, so it's never easy to tell what the best way is to fill it up if your weapon doesn't have slice. So mess around and see what works. Just avoid the single hit ammos if you can, because they don't fill up the gauge that much. With Valor, we can enter Siege mode with X and A, which is the single reason Valor Heavy Bowgun is so broken. Crouch fire, aka Siege, is used to be able to continually shoot the same ammo type without the need to reload in between shots or shoot them individually. Just hold the A button and fire away until the siege is over. How long you can siege before having to roll out depends on ammo and game, but in GU it's 12 shots for Pierce and 15 for normal, which is more than the clip size of any bowgun. What makes Valor special though is that it has a couple of huge advantages over the other styles. The first one being that you can roll in and out of it from any and into any direction, meaning unlike the other styles, you can roll out and immediately aim in a different direction. You can also roll out in any direction, including backwards, unlike the other styles that can only do left, right, forward or stay in place. The second, even more important advantage is that you straight up shoot much faster than with other styles. Valor Siege gradually increases the frequency of your shots until you shoot about twice as fast as other styles. According to a firing rate comparison to Adept, it's about a 40% DPS increase, which is bafflingly huge. Keep in mind though that the last shot of the siege will cause a long recoil, which will leave you open, so it's better to just roll out of the siege and set up the next siege after shooting the second to last shot. To leave siege mode, simply press B to roll out in any direction. Valor has another advantage, which is the power run. Adept bowguns get the option to do a power run after successfully adept evading. It lets you sprint at running speed with the weapon out and without using stamina. There is an almost fixed trajectory that you can only correct slightly by steering left or right. Valor gets this move too. Unlike Adept, however, Valor just kinda gets it for free. After a power reload or evade, you can hold B to enter the power run. It's the same as Adept in terms of speed and distance, and also doesn't cost stamina. It's extremely useful and your main way of getting around with Valor heavy bowgun. It's pretty much why you would never want to sheath your heavy bowgun, because there's just no need to. You can simply run at sheathed running speed with the weapon out whenever you want. Be mindful that you only have it while in Valor, and that the run doesn't immediately put you at top speed though. There's a small wind-up window where your character accelerates, so keep that in mind. From the power run, you can either roll out by holding a direction and pressing B, or if you want to keep your trajectory, just tap B once without a directional input to do the power slide. The power slide is always faster than rolling, and you can enter siege from it, so it's very useful to quickly reposition. Rolling out also comes with a disadvantage that if you roll out at a sharper angle, your character will take even longer to turn around due to the turn animation. The last basic move we need to cover is the Valor Sheathe. The Valor Sheathe is shared across all Valor styles, so if you've already used the Valor weapon, this isn't anything new to you. You hold Sheath and enter Valor Stance, which lets you evade almost any attack coming from the front up to 90 degrees to each side, covering the 180 degrees in front of you. You can hold it to prolong it as long as you like, but it slowly drains health and quickly drains stamina, so try to use it only when you need it or use the dash shoes. If you get hit from the front in this stance, you evade the attack, take 15% of its damage as red damage and put the weapon away. Since you're using heavy bowgun, you don't want to put the weapon away though. You can press X after the evade to roll and keep your weapon drawn. You can do this in any direction. Now here's where we get to the tricky part, aiming. You shoot in any direction you're holding the stick. You can even use it to quickly turn around to where your stick is pointed to fire immediately. Press R once to enter the scope. You can zoom in and out using the D-pad or right stick if you're using a zoom scope, and move it around with the left stick. Generally, you don't really need it, but it can help you aim more precisely if you're just starting out. You want to primarily rely on the reticle instead. If you hold R, you spawn a reticle that shows you where you're aiming. You can adjust the reticle with the right stick or the D-pad while standing. The direction will be maintained even if you let go of R until you move your left stick again. While in siege, you can aim using the left stick independently of the reticle and the right stick or D-pad to control the camera, but you generally want to have the reticle at all times anyway. With the reticle while in siege, you can use the D-pad or either of the sticks to move the reticle. With that, we're finished with all the basic controls and are ready to use the weapon. In the next video I will show you Valor Heavy Bowgun's tech and the basic gameplay loop. Until then, see ya!